thank everyone for joining this evening. If you want to make a public comment on items listed under the closed session agenda, please listen carefully to the direction provided by the clerk at the open of each item. Ms. Elizondo.
Public hearing for visitors who wish to address the board on closed session items. 15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on closed session items. Speakers seeking to comment on other items are requested to make those comments during the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:30 p.m. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The school board is prohibited by law from taking actions on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. We will allow speakers from the audience to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, hearing none, I close public hearing and adjourn to closed session to discuss items 1A through 1D. The board will reconvene after closed session. Good evening. It is 6:33 p.m. and I call this regular meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. I want to welcome the media and everyone joining in person and by Zoom. We ask those joining us this evening to please silence your electronic devices not linked to this meeting. If you would like to make a public comment, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each public comment period. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and staff and members of the public, I'd like to remind us all of our vision and our mission this evening. Our vision states that Madera Unified will set the standard for hard work, creativity, and resiliency with a fearless drive to continuously improve and not cough. And our mission states that we are committed to creating and sustaining a culture enabling Madera Unified students to experience an unparalleled educational journey that is intellectually, socially, and personally transformative. That's the nature of our work this evening, sir.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 3, roll call. Ms. Elizondo, would you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Trustee Ahmad.
Here.
Trustee Cortez. Here. Trustee Dybert is absent. Trustee Fleek.
Here.
Trustee Salazar.
Here.
And Clerk Mendoza.
Here.
And President Seibert.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 6 here, 1 absent, sir.
Clerk Mendoza, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Yes, please stand. Face the flag to the north wall. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Mendoza. Tonight's scheduled invocation will be provided by Pastor Fred Thurman of New Life Assembly of Madera. I invite Pastor Thurman to the podium.
There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Can we bow our heads for a moment in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening we come together. We ask for your presence. We ask for your insight and your wisdom. We thank you, Father, for our board of directors, our Madera Unified School District, and Lord, that you would just give them wisdom as they make the decisions for our children, for our city, and for the education here in our city. We bless you now, Father, and thank you for your protection over the school and the teachers and the children and the students and everyone involved, and we give you praise for your hand upon us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Thurman. Item number 4, closed session reportable actions. Superintendent Lyle.
Have nothing to report this evening, sir.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Ms. Elizondo.
Action to add or delete items from any portion of the agenda or to discuss any consent agenda items must be taken prior to the adoption of the agenda.
Superintendent Lyle, does the staff have items to add or remove from the agenda?
No changes this evening.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Trustee, items you'd like to add or delete from the agenda?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented? Please state your name when you make a motion and second the
President
motion.
Seibert, I so move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
You guys have your finger on the button.
Trustee
Go
Ahmad,
ahead.
second.
You guys gonna fight over it?
Trustee Ahmad, second. No, I thought you have it also.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee Salazar and seconded by trustee Ahmad to adopt the agenda as presented. Ms. Lozano, would you please poll the board for the record?
Yes, sir. Trustee Ahmad?
Yes.
Trustee Cortez?
Yes.
Trustee Dybert is absent. Trustee Fleek?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza?
Yes.
And President Seibert?
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. Item number 6A, communications, public hearing for visitors who wish to speak on a subject not on the board agenda. Mrs. Lozano?
15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the school board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If the subject is an item on the agenda, the board president has the option of asking the speaker to hold a comment until that item is called. Comments on items listed as a public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The school board is prohibited by law from taking actions on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item not on the board agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. We will allow speakers to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen.
How much time do I get? 15 minutes?
3 minutes.
Good evening, board. My name is Victor Ward. I live in the Bay Area. And I've been here a couple times before talking about a few of my education products. I'm the sales guy at my job. I'm not a very good sales guy, I freely admit that. But my boss, who is my wife, kind of tells me where to go. She's actually... She's the CEO of the company. So we were talking today, kind of as the school year ends and the new school year 25-26 begins. She said, where do you want to go? Kind of, to start things off. And I said, I wanted to go to Madera. As I mentioned last time I was here, I go to board meetings throughout the state. And this is the one board meeting, and it's still true, where there's always a prayer, an acknowledgement, and a request to God to ask for help. And so when I was speaking with Superintendent Lyle last time I was here, he basically said, how can we accomplish this work if we don't ask for God's help, which is true. And so one of the things that, whenever you do sales, you want to have something that you think is going to really help people. And one of the things that we have is something that we really think will help with chronic absenteeism. And this is one of those things where we really want, every school district, every school says that it's about helping the students. In this particular school district, I really believe that. Again, back to Superintendent Lyle's comment. And just to let people know, Superintendent Lyle invited me to say, hey, let's meet, send me an email. Again, I'm not a great sales guy, so I'm a little bit slow on my follow-up. But anyway, I want to present our products because I do think, and I want this school district to really excel and to bring more students. Anytime a student is outside of a learning environment, it's not just, whether it's not just a mischief that student may get into, it's that they're not availing themselves of the education, of the growth, of the impact that they really can have, not only for their own lives, for their families' lives, for the community. So again, that's just why I'm here. I wanted to, start my, if you will, my fiscal year off in a place that I enjoy coming and that hopefully will be able to help. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We have no other members of the public who wish to address the board at this time. President
Okay,
Seibert.
Seeing or hearing no one else, I close public hearing. Go on to item number 7, consent agenda. Ms. Elizondo.
Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board or staff requests specific items be considered and discussed separately and/or removed from the consent agenda prior to the adoption of the agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval on all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended.
Okay, and now open consent agenda for public comment. Ms. Elizondo.
If you wish to address the board on an item included in the consent agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have participants who wish to address the board on these items.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no one going forward, I close public comment. Now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. State your name when making the motion and when you second the motion. Do I have a motion from a trustee?
I so move, President Cyber, so move to approve the consent agenda.
Trustee Fleek, I'll second.
Been moved by trustee Salazar and seconded by trustee Fleek to approve the consent agenda. There's one resolution in the consent agenda. Ms. Alonso, would you please poll the board?
Yes, sir. Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
trustee Cortez,
Yes.
trustee Dybert is absent, trustee Fleek,
Yes.
trustee Salazar,
Yes.
clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. Item number 8, information and reports. Item 8A, educational services, review of the 2025 California Dashboard Local Performance Indicators. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, we continue to work through our local indicators and learn how best to lead such crucial work. As we get started, I'd like to commend Associate Superintendent Cheryl Sissel of Ed Services and her team, and she's brought Director Bonilla here tonight. I think he's an integral part of all of this, of course. And I'd like to ask them to present, and I'm sure that they'll have some commendations for the colleagues that have helped them out most as well. So Ms. Sissel, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board. Tonight, as part of the process for adopting the 25-26 Local Control Accountability Plan, adopting Madera Unified's budget, and completing all of the requirements as called forth by our educational code. One of those is to also publicly share information on the local performance indicators. So what I would, if you could, there we go, we'll pull the slide up. What I will share is I have 2 other directors or possibly assistant superintendent who will be assisting with this presentation. So we have Assistant Superintendent Marshall and possibly Director Diorian on Zoom with us. When we get to their part, they will present their information. And then I also have Director Elia Medina here to go through the state priority under parent and family engagement. So let's go ahead and get started. As a reminder, there are 8 state priorities that are called out through the local control or the local control accountability plan. Those 8 indicators, some, two particularly, are reviewed and analyzed through the LCAP. And those are the 2 indicators that are directly associated with student engagement and academic performance. And we review those indicators when we receive the California Schools Dashboard information that comes out every year in December of the year. So there are also the state indicators that are not part of the California Dashboard, and that's what we're going to discuss tonight. So as a reminder, in order to receive the local control funding that we need to operate our schools, we have to go through this presentation. I put up here as a reminder what the LCFF is. It's comprised of a base grant allotment, a supplemental grant allotment, and a concentration grant allotment, which I know we've discussed multiple times and you all understand what that is. As part of this process, we have to adopt the LCAP, which we'll be doing momentarily. The LCAP is a 3-year plan that describes the goals, actions, services, and expenditures to support positive student outcomes that address state and local priorities. The LCAP provides an opportunity for the local educational agencies to share their stories of how, what, and why programs and services are selected to meet local needs. So this evening, we will be going through what is the local performance indicators. So for our presentation purposes, I have created some slides to take you through the big ideas, the most important points. Each of you at the back has an appendix that has some narrative attached to it that you can go through and look at that might provide more information. Also, obviously, if you have any questions, myself and staff can answer those for you. So we're going to start with priority 1, which is basic services. Under priority 1, there's 3 areas we have to look at. That's appropriately assigned teachers, student access to standards aligned materials, and then looking at our facilities as well. Priority 2 is the implementation of state academic standards. Under priority 2, our staff does a self-evaluation of the implementation of the state academic standards. Priority 3, which is what Director Medina will be taking us through, that's around parent involvement and engagement. And priority 6 is school climate. And then priority 7 is access to a broad course of study. So those are the areas that we will be looking at right now. At any time in the presentation that you have questions, please feel free to stop me and ask me. So let's start with basic services. So as I mentioned, under basic services, there's 3 areas we're going to look at. First is looking at the assignment of our teachers. And what you've been provided is information that comes from the Teacher Assignment Monitoring and Outcome System. This is called TAMO, and it is provided by the California Department of Education. So these numbers we're reporting are numbers that are coming directly from the California Department of Education. What I've given you is a look at Madera Unified, and then at how we compare to the county, and then how we compare to the state. So if you look at our total teaching FTE, there's 990. Of those 990, 81.1% have obtained a clear credential in their area. We have 3.8% that are teaching out of field. We have 3.4% that are teaching on an intern status. We have 4.6% which are given a status of ineffective, and we have 7.1% which are considered incomplete. We don't have any unknown, and it looks like we have none that are considered NA. So I'll stop right there and let you ask me any questions if you have regarding the reported data here.
Yeah, when you have 4.6 ineffective, exactly what is that?
It's a teacher on a STIP or a PIP. We bring forward to they're not fully credentialed, and we're able to put them on a temporary waiver while they're finishing their credentialing to become an intern ready.
Okay. They may be effective, but they're just not credentialed or what?
Yeah, so they're not an intern or have their preliminary credentials, so they're considered ineffective. And so they're in the process of becoming intern eligible. So those are, if you remember the STIP, the temporary permit, or the PIP, which is we bring to the board approves, those are the teachers that aren't quite there yet, and we're helping them get intern eligible.
Are we providing them with mentors?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the term ineffective is not a term that we choose. It's a term the state uses to identify that category of teachers. And it is not based on, their classroom performance or evaluation. It's based on their lack of a credential at this point.
How about the incomplete?
Okay, incomplete means that when we submitted all of our information regarding the teacher credentials of the 990 teachers, at a certain point, 7% of our teachers, there was some documentation that the state was not able to verify. So they're given an incomplete status.
It could be they need to fulfill their induction paperwork that wasn't submitted on time, and the candidate has to do that, or it could be a committee on assignment that we submit. And so it's something we work together on with our candidates.
I have I have one question. Out of field, what does that mean?
Go ahead. You want me to? Out of field is if they're teaching in a class that they don't hold the appropriate credential for. So we do have in some cases where a teacher might be teaching art and they have a multiple subject credential. That'd be a
We actually do a board resolution that we bring forward to, that we have a teacher that maybe has a single subject English credential and they're teaching social science. Or we actually approved one last year that had a Spanish credential that was teaching ELD.
Okay. All right. The next slide is looking at the two areas around percentage of students without access to their own copies of standards-aligned instructional materials for use at school and at home. And this is an indicator, if you recall, each year, early in the year, Madera County Office of Ed comes and provides feedback on us. It's through what we call the Williams visits, where they go in and verify the appropriate access to standards-aligned materials. So 0% of our students were found to not have access to their instructional materials. And then the other one is the facilities being found in good repair. So we had 0 facilities that were found to not be in good repair. So those are the three areas under basic services that we need to report to. Okay, next is looking at implementation of the state standards. And there's a few different areas that we're asked to rate ourselves in. So on this first slide, you're asked to rate your progress around professional learning for teaching. So this is, you have recently adopted academic and/or curriculum framework, and the LEA is responsible for providing professional learning for teachers to ensure that they're prepared to instruct utilizing the approved core materials. I can tell you that annually, both in elementary and secondary curriculum instruction, now with the addition of our teacher support mentors, we not only provide onboarding training on all the curricular materials for new teachers, but as you know, in elementary school, oftentimes teachers change grade levels. So there's annually an opportunity in elementary school for teachers to be trained if they're moving grade levels. And in secondary, it might be if you're a social science teacher and you've been teaching civics and econ for many, many years, and now this coming up year, you're going to teach US history, there would be an opportunity in secondary, as an example, for teachers who within their content area might be teaching a different course. So you can see here, we give ourselves through English language arts, and mathematics. Those are full implementation and sustainability. Those two areas have been adopted. The current curriculum that we're utilizing were adopted in 2012 and 2013. So we're actually getting ready to go into a new adoption cycle for mathematics. That's going to happen this upcoming year. So when we do this next year, you probably won't see full implementation and sustainability because we'll be in the process of training teachers on a brand new curriculum. Under English language development and the next generation science standards, as well as history, social science, those are rated as full implementation. When discussing this with the directors who I asked to rate that, why not full implementation and sustainability? The biggest reason for that is oftentimes in those areas, the current adopted curriculum is significantly, I don't want to say out of date, but it hasn't been adopted in a real long time. Or as an example, just I think 2 meetings ago, you adopted like a new earth science curriculum for secondary. In many cases, we're still having a hard time finding an adopted curriculum. So we're using open source materials and teacher generated materials. So it's fully implemented. We are using the state standards to guide all of the work, but year over year, we might be utilizing some different types of open source materials. So they are fully implementing and they are providing training on what materials are being utilized in the classrooms. This next section is, again, talking about the adopted curriculum, but this wants us to rate our progress in making instructional materials that are aligned to recently adopted academic standards and the framework available in all classrooms. So in this area, the accessibility of our instructional materials in almost all areas, we're saying that we have full implementation and sustainability with the exception of mathematics and the next generation science standards where there is a full implementation. Again, we're in the process of adopting materials, looking at new materials, and constantly revising the instructional materials that we're utilizing in secondary specifically. So there's a full implementation there. Okay. The next area is implementing policies or programs to support staff in identifying areas where they can improve in delivery instruction. So this would be ensuring that our supports to teachers at our school sites is available. We have obviously our elementary and secondary curriculum instruction departments that I've already identified, but also we have Director Uchima's department, which is around assessment and accountability and school improvement. And the sole purpose of that department is to help support our staff in identifying areas where they might need to improve instruction based on student scores. And so we feel like we've reached full implementation and sustainability. Our schools are getting a lot of support in understanding how to take what they're teaching and really understand students' levels, where they are, but more importantly, how they can improve and meet the students' needs. So that is a self-evaluation again and was rated as full implementation and sustainability. This slide right here is going to have you look at the areas outside of what we would call the core. Okay, so when you're talking about core, you're talking about English language arts, English language development, math, science, and history, social science. Here's the other areas in which we have adopted academic standards and adopted programs. And so we're asking the folks that oversee these areas to look at the implementation here. So you've got career technical education, you've got health education, standards, you've got physical education, model content standards, you've got visual and performing arts, and world languages. So in the far right, you can see that there's a full implementation in sustainability where CTE is considered, health education, and physical education. The visual and performing arts is, according to Mr. Gillis, still under initial implementation, mostly because in that program, there's actually 5 areas. In arts education, there's 5 areas in which standards and content, curriculum, and framework exist, and we don't have all of those. One of the areas, which is dance, we don't even have implemented at all. And then in some of the other ones, we have very early implementation. So he feels like we're still in an initial implementation under visual and performing arts. And world languages is full implementation. This is different from last year. When I spoke to the director, she felt like we were in full implementation because, again, we're looking at adopting some new curriculum in our world languages. Do you have a question?
Are we going to get someone to, for dance so that we can have more on the visual and performing arts?
So it has obviously been the hope to hire those teachers to support dance. The problem is credentialing. You have to have a credential, and there's not a lot of people out there with a credential to teach dance. And so it has continued to be a challenge to find staff to teach. So to answer the question, we are definitely looking and trying, but if they don't exist, it's hard to find them. We've been creative in the past, but yeah, it's challenging.
May I just briefly, I want to confirm, Ms. Rayella, we did yesterday onboard and sign contracts with 2 dance teachers. And they were approved in tonight's staffing list, were they not? So they are now approved and will be starting in Madera Unified and beginning tomorrow.
Well, one of them is to finally fully fill the Madison position,
Yes,
which
one
is
is for
part
Madison,
of
that's right.
the elective program for middle school. And then one of our high schools, I believe, is also trying to offer dance. We continue to want to offer it. In the past, dance was part of physical education, but you have to now to teach the dance curriculum through arts education, you have to have a specific credential.
Thank you.
Social dance still does happen in our.
It was my favorite unit.
Yeah, well, when my oldest came home, he told us all about it. So I'm not sure it was his favorite, but it happened.
I really enjoyed
Yeah.
social dance. Okay, the next area is support for teachers and administrators. So we're asked to rate our success in engaging the following activities with teachers and administrators. So identifying the professional learning needs of groups of teachers or staff as a whole, identifying the professional learning needs of individual teachers, and providing support for teachers on standards they have not yet mastered. So as a district, we feel like we're at full implementation in sustainability. This is an area where our support departments, our departments that provide direct support to schools, work really closely with site administrators so that site administrators are able to identify teachers, grade level teams, content areas, whatever it might be, where there's areas of support needed, and then we schedule around that. We do also, across multiple departments, have the ability for like support to be requested from teachers directly, and they can put in a request to have somebody from Director Guerrero's team, as an example, come in and support, or from Ms. Wade's department, the TSMs go in. So we feel like we have probably a better handle on providing support for teachers and administrators than we have in a long time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and, unless there's questions in that section. All right, Director Medina.
Actually, I had a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
So regarding the, so are those the only two, I guess, ratings, full implementation and sustainability and full implementation?
Are those the only available?
Oh, no, actually, Director Gillis, I guess he indicated there was one labeled initial, right? Okay, so are those the three?
So you can, the highest is, I guess if you started with the lowest, it's exploration and research. Then it would be beginning development, then initial implementation, then full implementation, and then full implementation and sustainability. So there's a total of 5.
Okay, and also you mentioned that when we rate ourselves, does that mean only directors, or do teachers also have any input, or do any other?
No, the
Anybody else?
directors or myself do the ratings. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, all right. Here you go, ma'am. Do you want me to move this for you?
All right, good evening, Superintendent Lyle, President Cyber, and trustees. I'll be presenting parent engagement performance indicators. And so the first one, when it comes to building relationships between school staff and families, we're proud to share that we're creating welcoming environments for all families in our community. And so that's a clear strength. And so we have rated that a number 5, as you can see on the slide. When it comes to helping staff build trusting relationships with families and understanding each family's unique strengths, cultures, and goals for their children, both of those areas have received a rating of 2, indicating that we're beginning to lay the groundwork and there is need to expand professional development for teachers and support staff in these areas. In terms of two-way communication between families and educators, we are at an early implementation stage. With a rating of 3, we have amazing tools like Parent Square has amazing features that we can use to improve home-to-school communication. We just need to improve a little bit more in using it more proactively and consistently, especially when it comes to sending positive messaging home. And then, of course, we continue to work with our families in understanding and knowing how to use Parent Square effectively and knowing how to communicate with their teachers directly. This next one is building partnerships for student outcomes. In that one of our greatest achievements has been providing families with multiple learning opportunities at our parent resource centers to ensure that they have access to information and resources to better support their students at home. And so we're fully committed and sustaining these efforts. And so that's why we have provided we have given it a rating of 5. We have also reached full implementation in creating opportunities for teachers to meet with families and students to discuss progress and collaborate on academic goals. And so that is evident in the use of the Me2Be reports during their parent-teacher conferences. When it comes to we have a solid stage implementation when it comes to helping families understand and advocate for their rights. We have given that a rating of 4. We have integrated support systems at our parent resource centers to make sure that our families understand their rights and that they know how to advocate for their students. At the same time, we know that there's work to do when it comes to equipping our educators. A rating of 2 in providing professional learning and support for teachers and principals show that we are in the early stages of developing consistent, targeted training to help staff build stronger partnerships with families. So this is an area that we're actively working on to improve. And the last one that I have, when it comes to seeking input for decision-making from our parents, we are doing really well when it comes to empowering and equipping our families to participate in advisory groups like DLAC, PAC, and contribute meaningfully to decision-making. You've had those group of parents come and present to you, and so we are pretty confident. Our educational services does an amazing job at empowering our parents when it comes to that. And so that's a rating of 4. And when it comes to our next 4 is progress in providing all families with opportunities to provide input on policies and programs, specifically underrepresented groups of families like our English learner opportunities. And so we have had listening sessions in the past, and we also consistently survey our families to make sure that they all have the opportunity to create inclusive input when it comes to programs and policies in the district. When it comes to, let's see, the other ones, we have a rating of 2, and that goes back to understanding that we need to continue to provide more support for our principals, our teachers, and the staff in engaging families in decision makings. That's still in the early stages. We are working on supporting our principals and teachers so that we can boost participation in some of their ELAC meetings and school site council meetings, because some of the school sites do struggle with that still. The same with fostering genuine collaboration with families, educators, principals, and district leaders to plan, implement, and evaluate family engagement activities. It's also an area of growth, so that's why evaluated as a 2. And those are all the slides around parent engagement. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
All right. Mr. Marshall, are you there?
I am out here in Zoom land. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right.
I'm ready to jump in.
All right, so we are starting on the slide labeled Panorama Survey for grades 3 to 5, School Belonging, Spring 2024.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. And good evening, Superintendent Lau, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, and trustees. I have the great pleasure of presenting to you our Panorama Survey data, which is divided into 2 grade spans. So we'll have an opportunity to look at our 3rd through 5th grade data that's being collected and compared from spring of 2024 to spring of 2025. The second set of data that we'll have an opportunity to look at will be our secondary 6 through 12 data. So currently, what we have as far as our collection for this year in our school belonging comparison, for our 3rd through 5th grade students, we have seen or noticed a decline in school belonging. So if you look along the my right-hand side of the slides, you'll have the 4 questions that students are responding to in an effort to produce the data that's shown right here on the chart. As you can see, the huge wave there, or otherwise known as the bell curve, we're definitely, even with the decline, we still remain a little ahead of the bell curve, but within this past school year, we've definitely declined by 9%, which places us in the 70th percentile. Next slide, please.
You're there?
Yes. All right. School safety, 3rd through 5th grade. This is something that we should all be pretty proud about, considering our huge shift in focus in this area at the start of the school year. Our comparison from spring of 2024 to 2025, we've seen a 2% increase in this area, students feeling safe at school. And we're definitely out in that 70th percentile of the bell curve here. So students within this grade span are definitely feeling good about being in school and feeling safe. Next slide, please. Okay, school climate. Here we will definitely notice a 10% decrease here, and something to note when it comes to school climate, how the students feel, how they're treated there on campus. Some extra data was pulled out of that first bullet point, how positive or negative is the energy of the school or environment of the school. That was a slight 1% increase, but we're still at a 70% increase favorable of students feeling good and safe, or the energy being positive within their learning environment. The other few bullet points have had a few drops in their responses The third bullet point, at your school, how much does behavior of other students hurt or help your learning? It's leaning in at a 31% favorable in that area. That's kind of what the data has shared with us once we kind of peel back and disaggregate out some of the questions there. So at one time in 24, kind of heading toward the middle of that bell curve. For 2025, we've kind of taken a slight dip backwards with that part of school climate. Next slide, please. All right, we're still on our third through fifth grade school engagement data here. We're still in that midsection of where the rest of the nation is kind of ranked, but we've definitely shown a 9% decrease in this area as well for this grade span. And as you can see, there's questions right there on the side. And I feel, this is something that our staff really focus on are the activities that are created in the classroom, building the interest of our students, and working towards having our students excited about going to class. So that's definitely a work in progress. And as many of you know, in competition with today's technology, that becomes a bit of a challenge because our current day student has a shorter attention span. So definitely something that our district is working on, and we're still leaning right there, a little slightly ahead of that bell curve in that wave. Next slide, please.
Should be at school belonging for grades 6 through 12.
Yes, got it. Thank you. I'm excited to share this data this year. I know typically when we're looking at secondary, it's been a little challenging. It's been a little concerning over time, but any growth is progress. So school belonging for our students in 6th through 12th grade has increased 1%, which is pretty big. As you can see, the movement within the bell curve is shifting more towards that middle area. And one area to point out that Karen shared with me in that first bullet point is how much support do the adults at our school give you? That response grew significantly. So our staff are really working hard at supporting our students, building relationships, which is key and very important for our 6th through 12th grade students. As we know, those transitions from 6th into 7th can be a challenge, and those transitions from 8th into 9th can also be a challenge. So very excited and happy to share that information. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, and once again, in secondary, in reference to school safety, there was a significant increase in 7% of students feeling safe on campus. So you can see over, the types of questions that are asked. How often do you worry about violence at your school? How likely is it that someone from your school will bully you online? So I know that the investment for middle school with the cell phone pouches has been a great mitigation and deterrent to some of those pieces, which we're looking forward to the next shift for that and supporting our 9th, 12th grade sites. We know the addition of our Evolve system, additional safety officers to support and welcome students on campus really offers an opportunity to have a conversation at the gates before students enter campus, and an opportunity for our staff to build deeper relationships with students. So school safety in secondary is up significantly. Next slide, please. School climate as well in 6 through 12 is up by 2%, which is significant growth. We're still there at that bottom half of the bell curve, slowly making our way up. But definitely an area to be proud of for 6 through 12 because, thinking of, past data that has been shared, there have been some concerns with that. So glad to see that our students feel that their schools have a positive environment. It's pleasant and fair, and also, the behavior of other students really aren't impacting their learning. So that's definitely something to be encouraged about. Next slide, please. All right, so school engagement, we didn't quite get the push we wanted for our secondary kiddos here, so that's still a work in progress. As you know, it also showed up in our 3 through 6 area as well. So we kind of remained stable here at a 25%. We're at that lower end of the bell curve there. Looks like closer to the 25th or 20th percentile in this realm. So definitely something to continue to focus on. And as we continue to invest in our professional learning, in rethinking the ways that our students engage in the classroom, we'll definitely look for an increase in this for the upcoming survey. Next slide, please.
That's all, my friend. If there's any questions for Mr. Marshall, he'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, do you have any breakdown on by pyramid on this information?
President Seibert, Karen is able to disaggregate this information out, and we can look at this by pyramid.
I'd like to have some of those questions rated by pyramid and.
Makes sense.
Would it be sufficient to have that information for you in the newsletter to review?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, I noticed that during graduation, Madera South High School had a lot of completers of pathways and stuff. And I would suspect that their numbers would be a little higher.
Possibly.
And we can definitely put together the data by pyramid. Makes sense to look at it that way. In fact, I think that's, if Mr. Rodriguez was in the room, I'm sure he would prefer to see it that way. I think it would really help him. And it would help our feeder system to really be able to think about its own culture as a whole. And we're moving that direction with our activities directors and our area assistant superintendents. So that makes good sense. We'll do that.
If you would like it reported that way next year, we can make a note of that. It's not required as part of the presentation, but if you'd like to see it by pyramid, Director Bonilla and I can work with
It'd be nice to have
Director
in-house
Dorian.
information on stuff like that.
On the engagement part, especially with the middle school kids, since they really don't have per se activities directors, are we looking into how more to get them more engaged now that they're not having the cell phones? They need to talk to each other.
Well, they actually do have activities directors, but they're teachers who have some release time to do that work, and they are partnering more closely with the high schools, but they don't have, so you're right, they don't have a full-time person.
Mm-hmm.
And we do think it's really important that, sometimes Ms. Rodriguez and I have come to call it big kid recess. They need that. The students need to be able to do something that's fun and engaging at recess. And when they have a chance to play basketball or volleyball or Big Giant Connect 4 or Big Giant Jenga, the kids play.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And we see that, like the high school kids will actually do that at the prom. I saw it with my own eyes this year. We think that's really important, and we're working on moving in that direction. In fact, Ms. Diorian's department with Mr. Kelly, they have some proposals that they've brought to the secondary campuses for just that, and our student voice meetings with our student trustees addressed those issues on their agenda and got feedback for their principals. So
No, we're bringing it
you're right.
to the three main, are we bringing it to Madison as well, or just the three main ones?
No, they would bring it to all the K-8s too, but they don't tend to have the issues in this respect. That's one of the reasons why we like K-8s. They tend to have a continuation of what they did in 5th and 6th grade into 7th and 8th grade more frequently. It's the middle schools where we've had this real social transition that becomes a lot more chaotic. We see a lot more challenges. All the data shows that our middle schools have a lot more behavioral concerns than our K-8s do, and that's been one of the reasons why we favored that model. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see, you're broken down between 6 and 12. And I'd like to see it broke down more like 6, 8, 9, 9-12 and pyramids in different schools. I mean,
I'm not an
I don't know if you
expert in the
guys have
data.
that
We'd have to ask
information.
Mr. Marshall or Mr. Bonilla, who work with, because the data is collected, and then can we disaggregate it further by grade levels?
We wouldn't have the national comparison.
Yeah, I don't need the national comparison. They're just for in-house, you kind of see what's going on
Okay,
in middle school with eighth grade kids and in high school. Where are we getting ahead at, and,
Right.
where are things being positive?
Yeah, so Panorama reports it in the way that we've reported it tonight, but it
Yeah,
can be
that's-
broken down. It's just Ms. Bonilla is exactly right. You just lose the ability to gauge the normative experience. And that might not be as important as just being able to see the strong and the points of strength and weakness for us to dive into and really investigate and understand. It's a good point.
so 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12.
Yeah, by pyramids
I got it by pyramid, yep. Okay,
So if we're gonna disaggregate this data and by doing that, we're not gonna have the national, I guess, performance
Comparisons.
comparisons.
That's right.
Now, I would like to see more years I'd like to track more years, like maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. That way we can see, bigger time span and how we've been performing over a longer period of time.
on all the data or just on the panorama data?
I would say all the data, because I'm not sure if I'm seeing something wrong. I mean, maybe I'm not reading it correctly or not understanding it, but, there's a lot of areas of concern for me. I mean, I'm not sure I can interpret a lot of this as being positive because we're sliding back in some areas and minimal to almost virtual no growth in some areas. But I'm sure when you disaggregate it, it's going to be a different story for different grade levels, right?
So what will happen is, just so that the board's clear, on the panorama data, we can create a table that has multiple years, and we can look at our own percentages, but you wouldn't see the visuals anymore. You won't get any of that information. That's what you guys want, but you want to see more than the current year. Okay.
I have a hard time understanding all the stuff we're doing with career technical education and everything. Why kids are more excited in our school district and how they compare to the nationwide. We're doing so many things.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to understand why we're not over, like 75% on all that sort of thing. I mean,
I think,
don't understand.
and there's a bank of questions, correct, Mr. Marshall, that
Yes.
are able to be chosen?
Yes. Yes.
So
and
if-
we've clarified those and distilled them down, so that our students are, able to engage and answer those appropriately for the most part.
So just in reference to that comment, one of the things might be that, like under school engagement, it doesn't necessarily call out your arts education, your CTE, your elective courses. So the students may not be connecting school engagement to CTE pathways, as an example. So I think we could also look at the banks of questions and make sure that we're choosing questions that solicit that a response that might represent that, maybe?
I think one of the things that we should just flat out say is these numbers are not at all what we want. I mean, if you're confused by them because of how much we've invested in creating a sense of joy in school, you're right. I don't think any of us feel like this is what we want. And if you've had the chance, like I have, and a few of you have, to go to student voice meetings with our high school kids, our high school students, and they're bringing in pretty broad cross sections of students. They're not just bringing in, the students that all run for office, right? That's not who they bring in. But when they bring in students, we're hearing much more positive results than what you are seeing reflected here. And that is a little bit troubling. And I'm not exactly sure, why that persists. But that's something we're going to have to sort out, because I don't think any of us feel like this really represents the efforts that our student leaders are putting in, our teacher leaders are putting in, and certainly are not our site leaders. And so there's a lot more effort being made than the results are showing. I think it's a very probable issue that Ms. Sissel brings up, that students, when they're getting the questions asked to them, are considering the context in which the question is asked. If I'm being asked in second period, and second period doesn't feel engaging, that's how I feel about school, because I'm answering the question right here, right now. Does that really reflect their the class they're taking at MTech? Does that really reflect what is happening with the student activities they're working on with their principal? Because many of our elementary principals have small but mighty little student councils where they're doing really fun things. And we have a lot of teachers really working hard to elicit from their students a lot of feedback on how things are going in class, so they're responding. So are we clarifying to the degree that we could what we think these questions mean for them, or are we allowing them to just take the question in the context in which it was asked without attaching all these other options to it? We're going to have to sort that out.
Okay. So the last priority area is referred to as a broad course of study. And under this area, myself and Director Bonilla have chosen, I believe there's 10 areas that we identified that we feel like represents a good cross-section of showcasing that our students have access to a broad course of study. These are areas, reminding you, that are not replicated. So you're not seeing like academics necessarily reported on here, because that's reported on the dashboard. So we're not trying to be repetitive of statistics that you would see reported on the California Schools dashboard, but we are trying to showcase areas that show that our students have the opportunity to engage in multiple opportunities across our schools. So the first statistic, and back to your original question, Trustee Cortez, because every year, at least since I've done this presentation 3 years in a row, we give 2 years worth of data. So we can for sure go in and add, I mean, if I were to look at last year's presentation, it had 22, 23, and 23, 24. So adding a few more columns in these is not a problem. We can do that pretty easily. So we can bring you more years of data to look at as well. So looking first at number of students completing one or more of our 24 career pathway offerings. Last year we had 488. This year we had almost 100 more seniors complete career pathways, which I think, reflecting back on graduation, when we had our pathway completers be recognized at all schools, there was an increase. And to be honest, I believe Torres High School had the highest percentage of, or the highest number of students that were pathway completers. But almost 100 more kids across our 3 comprehensive high schools this year earned a pathway completion recognition. So that's really outstanding. The number of unique students receiving college credit through completion of dual enrollment course with Madera Community College. You will see that in 2023, we had 914, and this year, unfortunately, we had a significant decrease. So when I spoke to Director McKenna about why the decrease, we were able, this year, we offered 14 less courses for dual enrollment, unfortunately, this year. And there's a number of reasons why. Sometimes we have teachers leave the district who have been vetted by the community college, and therefore, when teachers leave, we have to go through a vetting process again. Sometimes our high schools don't have teachers on site that meet the minimum quals. The vetting process sometimes is a little slower than we wish it was. And there's also issues sometimes, the community college, part of this is supposed to be where they would provide instructors for us if we don't have them, and that has been a pretty significant challenge. So we had 14 less sections offered this year. So we're still, I believe we still have something to be proud of there, 603 students receiving college credit. That's still a really impressive number, but unfortunately it decreased significantly because we offered 14 less sections due to staffing changes and community college being unable to support some of our course requests. The next one is the percentage of students enrolled in one or more AP class or honors course. For us, that number stayed pretty close, 24.8% last year to 24% this year. Percentage of students enrolling in MTech. Last year, 47% of our 8th grade students were enrolled to take a course at MTech. This year, it was 43.2%. We added in our career technical student organization affiliation. So as a reminder, that means our students who are participating in FFA, HOSA, Skills USA, robotics, FCCLA. Hope I didn't forget one. Did I say skills?
Say HOSA?
It said HOSA, I think. Okay. So last year we had 2,182 members that participated in above a local level competition. And this year we had 2,857. So an increase of almost 700 students participating in a CTSO. Yes, Trustee Fleek.
Why is there a drop in the 8th grade students that enrolled at MadTech?
That's a really small number. I can only assume that in some cases, maybe less kids signed up, or if numerically, if we looked at that, we're probably talking about a really small number of students. I don't have an exact reason for why that is. I can tell you that last year there was some discipline issues at that school, and our executive cabinet made some decisions we're never going to restrict enrollment. We're going to give every child the opportunity to enroll, but if they squander that opportunity, they would not be allowed to maintain their enrollment at that school. And this number is generated at what point in the year? Yeah. Yeah, so it's a spring to spring comparison. So it could be that this year we had a little stricter policy on students that were causing having disciplinary issues. That would be my best guess, because that was a big conversation. Was, yes, we want every student to enjoy and participate at that program, but we have to think about at what cost, and we can't, we don't support, that's a special program and an honor to get to go there. And if you go there and wreak havoc, you're not going to get to stay.
Thank you.
To follow up on that question, so if somebody gets they can't participate in that program anymore due to disciplinary issues, can somebody else take their place? Does somebody else take their place?
No, we don't.
Typically, no, because it's the program is progressive as the year goes on. It's very hard to bring somebody in and just drop them onto a team of students, and to just jump in at a point in the year when the program has advanced a great deal, from August to say, November, December, or even worse in the spring. It would be even more challenging to bring somebody in. Might be able to do it at semester, but it would be much more challenging to do mid-quarter or mid-semester.
So maybe like the first quarter, it'll still be challenging after the first quarter?
It would be, it's possible. Depending, and I'm sure teachers are consulted at that point, and there is a waiting list, and so students do want to be there. So it's all true, and I'm speaking about this through my experience as a teacher at CART, which was the model for this. We almost never brought students in mid-semester, but we did try to bring them in January, especially if there were some circumstances. And so every student on the waiting list was considered on a case-by-case basis.
I mean, it would make sense that, later on in the year, it would be very challenging for somebody to jump in.
It's just a very different style of education, and to bring someone in who doesn't understand, it does hurt the group they get brought into. The other 2 or 3 or 4 students who are there need the student who joins them to have a certain level of skill and a willingness to collaborate, willingness to use some of the technical and technological skills that have been developed over the course of the year. If they don't have those, it becomes really challenging and they become more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah, I would
So
say
they get frustrated themselves.
the greatest challenge is, and we face this in high school, it's not so much about the core curriculum, because if they come into the engineering and robotics lab where they're going to get their elective plus English language arts plus mathematics, that's standards-based instruction based on their grade level. Where you're going to see the challenge is there's been a full quarter or semester of learning on how to utilize the machines, how to utilize the equipment. And so then that becomes the greatest challenge.
Right.
And that's a challenge we face even, especially at our high schools, when kids might want to change electives mid-year, or they get out of a credit recovery class and they want to then go into a elective class. We have to be selective on those because student safety is always a priority. Okay, the next area is looking at percentage of students enrolled in an art class during the day. So we looked at all students. Is this 7-12? Yeah, so all students in grades 7 through 12, we took the total enrollment and then figured what is the percentage of those students who are enrolled in one arts class. So there was almost a 10% increase from the previous year. So that's pretty significant improvement in opportunities for students to engage in an arts education class. Looking at the number of unique students participating in MULES, which is our elementary athletics program, middle school athletics, and high school athletics, there was a slight improvement from last year to this year. Number of unique students in our TK through 6th grade that registered in a winter or summer enrichment camp, summer school, or summer after school program. So you'll see here, I quantified this number because this is a 1-year lag because we're currently in the middle of that. So we can't give you the most up-to-date data. So you'll see that in 2022-23, there was 3,824 students. And then at the completion of the 23-24 programming, we had increased from 4,000 to 4,611. That number would be probably most significantly indicative of the addition of the CARD program, where we added in those community athletic programs starting in 23-24. Percentage of students earning the California Seal of Biliteracy, that should actually be number, I apologize, that's a typo. Ironically, exact same number. I actually confirmed this with Coordinator Cisneros yesterday. There was 298 last year, and there was 298 this year. She let me know there's a handful of kids that were waiting on AP results to see. So we might still have a few more kiddos that are going to earn that state seal. And then the 7-period day implementation in 23-24, there were 2,740 students that were benefiting from the 7-period day, enrolled in a 7-period day. That was when we only had middle school. Last year was our first full implementation of middle school and high school. So we're up to 8,023 students now that have access to more electives and more opportunities to take more career pathway classes, more arts education classes, and get credit recovery built into their schedule. And doing that has come through the addition of the 7th period day. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any other questions that the board might have regarding the local indicators presented?
I have one more question regarding the California Seal of Biliteracy. Obviously, that's something that students should be really, really proud of in our community. Now, are there any benefits, like tangible benefits, other than being bilingual and, having the domination over 2 languages, that they benefit from getting this certificate?
So the State Seal of Biliteracy is one of the accolades that, as long as they graduate from high school, they automatically meet the college and career readiness state indicator. So that's one thing. Number 2 is just recently, universities and community colleges have started recognizing high school students with the State Seal of Biliteracy no longer have to go in and take the same Spanish class that I would have taken when I went to college. And that's a relatively new turn of events. And the only reason I know a little bit about that is because of our dual language residency. It was one of the things that I kind of argued with Fresno State about, that our residents were having to take like Spanish 1 for non-native speakers. And I was like, it's ridiculous. These kids have a seal of biliteracy. They're fully bilingual and biliterate. So the universities and community colleges have started to recognize that and let students that have attained that move up into a higher level of Spanish. So I think that's a really big deal.
So they do get some credit in college. They're starting to.
It's not that they're earning college credit, it's that they don't have to take entry-level Spanish. They get to start their Spanish coursework above entry-level Spanish.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay. Okay, thank you, Associate Superintendent Sissel. Item number 8B, union time. At this time, I invite the presidents of the unions to address the board. Mr. Holder.
Board President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, board members, Superintendent Lyle. We are in the 3rd week of the summer school session, and from what I've heard from other sites, it's going very well. I would like to say, because I'm at Furman right now for summer school, that it's definitely going very well at Furman. I'd like to say thank you to Mrs. Angus. This was her last day before she goes on vacation, Principal Angus, and Mrs. Guzman is coming over to finish the summer school. But today, honestly, was a sad day for Furman because Mr. Bennett, this was his last day. And he has just been an awesome individual. Every time I'm over there, he is fantastic for summer and all through the year. Last Friday was the last barbecue that he set up for the staff and kids. And so he's definitely going to be missed. And so again, really appreciate what Mr. Bennett did over at Furman. And again, overall, the summer is just going very well at Furman and at the other sites that have the summer sessions. So thank you.
Are any other union leaders?
No, President Seibert.
Okay, item number 9, superintendent time. Superintendent Lyle.
I have 2 items, but I want to agree with Mr. Holder first. Mr. Bennett's been a phenomenal support to students far beyond his work as a custodian. He's a true student champion, and we all will miss him. And I think you said it very well, Mr. Holder. Thank you for that. So I have 2 announcements. Just in case you hadn't noticed, the parking lot is under construction, and it's going pretty loudly, but going pretty quickly. And saw cutting concrete right outside your window is a new experience for me while being on Zoom. I know it's a new experience for our office staff in the business office and all across the 1902 Howard Road, but it just had to be done. That war-torn parking lot had seen its last day. I also want to share that we provided the district office staff with the option of working a traditional 40-hour, 5-day work week, or 4 days with 10 hours at a time, so 4 10s. Regardless of the choice our colleagues have made, the district office will be open for business Monday through Friday. We have created schedules that cover the full week. We hope that our colleagues are able to get away from work and use the 3-day weekend opportunity to recharge a bit, and this will only last for 3 weeks, and then we're back to normal business as usual. 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10, old business. 10A1, educational services approval for 2025-26 local control accountability plan. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Cyber Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, as you likely recall, the LCAP represents a massive number of partners' voices, parents, industry sector advisors, teachers, support staff, administrators, and most importantly, students too. We're really proud of the work done by Ms. Sissel and all those she coordinated to get us here. As we close in on some high leverage data points to monitor with transparency, we're increasingly certain that our LCAP goals represent the most important goals for the focus of our governance team. We're pleased to bring back the leader with the most responsible for authoring the LCAP, Associate Superintendent Cheryl Sissel from Educational Services, and want to wish Mr. Jesse Carrasco a special thank you for his very able support on key aspects of this comprehensive document. And we would be remiss if we didn't thank Director Bonilla for being on loan from the school leadership team to support all the efforts with Ms. Sissel. I know she really appreciates his support. So Ms. Sissel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Cyber, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle. I would also be completely remiss if I didn't thank Executive Assistant Lorena Rardin. She is instrumental in helping keep us straight and making sure that all of our work is timely and reflected in the document. So she also deserves a big thank you for this work. So tonight, I'm here to ask for the approval of the Madera Unified School District Local Control and Accountability Plan for 2025 and 2026. You might recall I did a fairly detailed presentation at our June 10th board meeting. And after that, was open and available for questions that might have come up. I took it as good news that I didn't have any meetings scheduled to discuss concerns in the LCAP. I would just want to share a couple pieces of information with you. You might remember that we had not received feedback from the SELPA, which is through Madera County Office of Education. The director of the SELPA did respond back last week sometime, shared that she felt like our LCAP was very responsive to the needs of students with disabilities. She found that she was really impressed with our section around student feedback. She really thought that was valuable. She thought the questions that we used to solicit feedback from students was really valuable, and she put that in writing, and that is now represented in the engaged educational partner section of the document. Aside from that, there was only probably some minor clerical mistakes that were found and were addressed. Jim Sargent, who is the person that has really supported us from Madera County Office of Ed, he actually will be retiring effective this Thursday. So yeah, this Thursday. So he gave our LCAP his blessing, but he will not be the person reviewing it. Once you all approve it tonight, there will be a new lead with a different team that will be doing the actual review process. But I feel really, really confident in this document and feel like it is a really strong representation of what our district is focused on, what we intend to prioritize and monitor and continue to work towards the focus on improving student outcomes for all students in the district. So I would be willing to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Well, thank you, Associate Superintendent Sissel, for the presentation, and thank you for the staff for all the hard work. At this point, I have to open the item for public comment. Ms. Elizondo?
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. And out of the 15 participants, we do not have.
Okay, seeing none, come forward. I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any questions for staff?
It's okay. Just one question on the, summary one, on goals 6 through 9, on the equity multiplier.
Yes.
There are school goals, like say for Eastern Arcola, Furman, Mount Vesa, that we have the most challenges with attendance and, decreasing the suspension rate. So say like we get to 2026 next year, they'll look at the reports or during the quarter and see how they're doing and what's really working for them and follow up. So those kind of, just I guess a reminder, when do they do that?
We do it 4 times a year. So they come together and we evaluate and look at their data in October, December, February, and April.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely.
So, I know it's a big document, but can this be available to us in electronic form in the future?
Yeah,
100%.
it has to be available in electronic form. So we can have, yeah.
Okay, so I guess, so is it ready when we pick up our packets as well? Or can we get that delivered to our inboxes prior to, I guess instead, yeah, right, for it.
Yeah.
Right, so we have the hard copy, but I'm talking
The
about.
digital version has been on the website for, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if we can get a reminder of when it's available? Right,
You mean in the future?
in the future, yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about the same time every
Same time?
year. Yeah, I mean, the way the state has this structured is like this week across California, the LCAP and budgets are being approved in every single district.
and
So
Ed
this is
Code
the same
calls
time
for
every-
it.
Right.
Ed Code calls for it to happen. There are 3 things that have to happen on the same board meeting. You have to do your local indicator presentation, you have to adopt your LCAP, and you have to adopt your proposed budget all on the same night. In my presentation at the last board meeting, I tried to lay out the timeline. And so the document itself, Director Bonilla, and you know who I forgot to thank? I forgot to thank CFO Garcia, because she does all the money part of this and she has a huge role to play in that. So I should have said that right off the bat. Okay, perfect. So this document, we really get to it in April and May, but we can't start doing any of the true revisions because the budget is attached to every single action in here. And until we get the governor's budget in May, we can't even start the work. So we get about the month of May to really go through and update the document. Starting in October and April, we have those 4 meetings with the strategic planning. During that time, we also do the community feedback meetings. We meet with PAC, we meet with DLAC, we meet with students, we meet with all of our union and labor partners. We put out multiple surveys, and we take all of that information. We look at what revisions need to be made. And so I would love to tell you that I could make the document available sooner than I do. It is all we can do to get it ready for you before
You know,
the first June meeting. And that's just a result of the process in which it takes to get through it.
Sounds like beginning of June, mid-June, somewhere in that time.
You should, we'll always have it to you. We had it ready for agenda review before the first meeting in June. So whatever that date always is going to be. Madera, our process is always going to be the first meeting in June is going to be the first read. That's where I'm going to take you through the presentation. I'm going to take you through a lot of the details. If there's any changes, I would address that at that time. And then between that first meeting in June and the approval meeting would be an opportunity for you all to ask questions. I remember last year we had meetings with everybody because it was
Brand new.
pretty significant.
It was a
Because it was a brand new cycle.
brand new cycle of the LCAP. Right?
But we are a little bit constrained with just, there's only certain things we can do at certain times. So we spend pretty much the month of May
You know,
getting the document ready, so it's ready to go for you guys in the beginning of June prior to that first meeting.
this is such a significant lift between the May revise and the budget and the LCAP. It's such a significant lift that several districts, according to our county CBO, have moved their calendars in June for board meetings so that they provide like as one extra week from the second board meeting in May. And they've moved the first board meeting of June back a week. So it goes back, so Tuesday and then the next Tuesday is first board meeting of June, and then the next week, 7 days later, is the second. And so it would be like tonight and then last Tuesday, and we would not have had that meeting in the very first week of June, or second week of June, specifically to give the staff another week of time to go through everything and make sure that the numbers, the actions, the grammar and punctuation, every little thing is accurate. And so that's something that's starting to happen across the state, that people are adjusting their calendars just to give the staff a chance to not to sleep, and get it right instead of to just push themselves as hard as they've had to. In the last couple of years, with all these one-time funds and all these extra programs, there's been a huge change and a lot more to account for in the LCAP, and a lot more work that goes into it, especially with the way we've done it now with so many more partner groups represented than before. So there's a ton of work that goes into this. This team is
Well, and as
themselves to get
as
us
a
to
district, we've, I think, proudly tried to make this not a compliance document and have this be a document that the board and our community can squarely land on, that what's in here is what we're doing. Our priorities are outlined here. My full belief is when this 3-year cycle, closes and we open a new LCAP, I don't see us as a district ever going away from prioritizing multilingual learners, student achievement, student engagement, and classroom environment. Like, those are 4 areas which we will probably prioritize forever and ever. Amen. So
they're legitimate cornerstones of the
So
way
I
we
hope
work.
that we're never in the situation we were in last year where we had to move completely away. And I also think that as we've been discussing, goals for the district and moving towards improving academic achievement, student engagement, culture and climate, all those things are called out directly in this document. And as a team, we look at those at a minimum 4 times a year. So this document, I feel like, I might be wrong, it means a lot to me. Put a lot of time into it. I believe in it and I know it deeply. But I don't feel like it's a compliance document. I feel
It's a
like
leadership document.
that this is aligned to the SIPSAs, which every school has a SIPSA, and then all of our leaders have their SIPSAs set up so that they're supporting their strategic action plans. So there's a very clear through line in the priorities of our district. And I think that's really important to call out.
So just to recap, it is available electronically around beginning of June.
Yep.
Via Assembly, or correct?
Yep. we post it on the website too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Thank you. Do I have a motion, a second, to approve the 2025-26 Local Control Accountability Plan? State your name when making the motion and when you second the motion.
Trustee Fleek, I move to approve the 2025-26 Local Control Accountability Plan.
I second her motion.
Okay, it's been moved in by trustee Fleek and seconded by trustee Salazar to approve the 2025-26 Local Control Ability Plan. Accountability Plan. Ms. Lizondo, would you poll the board?
Yes, sir. Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
trustee Cortez.
Yes.
Trustee Dybert is absent. Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
trustee Salazar. Your mic was off, but I
Yes.
got thank you. Clerk Mendoza
Yes.
and President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lizondo. Okay, item number 10B1, Fiscal Services. Discuss and approve the 2025-26 adopted budget. Superintendent Lyle?
So this is the fraternal twin of the LCAP, right? You can't do one without the other. And President Cyber Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, our illustrious CFO Garcia is unable to attend this evening. So I bring the proposed budget before you for adoption. And Arelis provided a very thorough presentation and answered many questions last time we were all together. She'll certainly meet with any of you when she returns as well, if that's necessary. In the next few days, the California state budget will be completed and passed into law in accordance with our state constitution. And thankfully, we've been advised that in the last 2 days or so that this upcoming fiscal year will likely be relatively flat but solid. However, the reorganization of the U.S. Department of Education, its grants, funding streams, along with declining enrollment here locally and cost escalations in health benefits will all combine to constrain the MUSD budget. So we'll have to deal with all of that. This has helped us as a executive cabinet to sharpen our focus to those services and programs that provide the most effective benefits to students, staff, families, and the organization itself. We hope to help our employees enjoy comparable raises to other local districts while we prepare for what's forecasted to be a $20 to $30 billion deficit in the state budget 1 year away from now in 26-27. So there's a great deal of uncertainty ahead, and I'm confident that CFO Garcia and our entire team will remain vigilant and prudent. We have our eyes wide open and will continue working closely with our advisors, our union partners, Madera County Superintendent of Schools, and our governance team to protect the staffing and conditions that are helping us to improve in the majority of our grade levels and subject matters across the district. So to keep us compliant, we ask for the board's approval of the 25-26 adopted budget this evening.
I just had a question.
Thank you, Superintendent. Now I open this
sorry.
item up for public comment. Ms. Lizondo?
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. And no, we do not have any participants.
Thank you. Seeing none come forward, I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any questions for staff?
I have a question. The preschool that we just approved on the consent agenda for 3.7 million, that's in this budget?
I believe it is in this budget, yes.
And what estimated head count do we have of students attending for the preschool? Do we have like an estimate?
I do not know that answer. Do you know that, Ms. Sissel?
It doesn't have it here. Mm-hmm.
Is the monies that we earn to operate the California State Preschool Program.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, and it's on page 5, it's identified on page 5 of your LCAP document, actually. And I'm sure it is in Arelis' presentation, I just don't recall exactly where it was located.
But it's in there. But do Do we just have like more or less an estimate how many preschool students we?
So we this year ended right at about 87% of our total capacity, which was right around 380 students.
Okay.
This will be the first year, though, coming up, that we are required to meet a enrollment count. So I feel like I should come to this.
I'm actually just incredibly impressed that you had those numbers and you remembered them, because that's, I mean, it's a very specific question around preschool. So please.
Director Naranjo does a great job of keeping me informed. So we review numbers annually, and this has been a topic of conversation. So since COVID, the state has funded our preschool program at our enrollment as of 2019. So it's basically been like secured funding based on enrollment. Coming up in 25, 26, it will go back to what's called earning your contract or earning your enrollment. So if we don't have students in the program, we won't be funded. We will only be funded at our enrolled levels. So this program consistently since 2014 has hovered between 80 and 90% enrollment. We have a goal to get to as close to 100% enrollment of our capacity as possible. And what that means is in a 10-to-1 ratio, trying to, in our morning session, we've previously not had to push to have 20 students in a classroom. We know moving forward next year, we're going to need to push for full enrollment. So in our AM sessions, we'll be pushing to be enrolled at 20-to-1. And then our afternoon or our PM sessions will normally be around 10 to 12-to-1. And the difference is in the AM session, we have one full-time teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. In the PM session, we have one full-time teacher and 1 paraprofessional. But in order to continue to generate income, we will now have to basically what we say is earn our contract. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to thank CFO for putting the amount of benefits and salaries for teachers and the different on here as well. And then she's been putting also our actual checkbook balance. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I do have a motion and a second to approve the 2025-26 adopted budget. State your name when making a motion and second the motion.
President Seibert, I so move to approve the 25-26 adopt that budget for Madera Unified. Had tongue-tied, sorry.
It's been moved by trustee Salazar and seconded by trustee Ahmad to approve the 2025-26 adopted budget. Ms. Elizondo, would you please poll the board?
Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
trustee Cortez,
Yes.
trustee Dybert is absent, trustee Fleek,
Yes.
trustee Salazar,
Yes.
clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. Item number 11, announcements. Superintendent Lyle, do you have any announcements for the board?
Just 2 tonight, sir. Just a quick note that I'll be on vacation next week from June 30th through the 3rd. I'll be back on the 7th. I'm not going anywhere, so if you see me around town and recognize me, I'll be wearing a wig, but you don't have to say hi. Help me hide in plain sight. As we are well into the summer break and only having 1 board meeting in July, we all want to hope that you, our board members, and our year-round staff and students get some well-deserved rest and take some time off to enjoy family and loved ones. I really do feel like everyone has put in a lot more time and energy than we often get credit for, and you all put a lot of time and energy into being ready for board meetings and going through your agendas, and we appreciate that greatly, and we want to continue to serve the district and our community with the level of professionalism and stability that you've brought to this district. So I want to thank you for that. And for all of us out there that work in all the offices of this building and across the street and down the street and around the corner and across town and all the places that we are. We really do hope that people get away and get a chance to enjoy some time with family and friends. That's what summer is for, and we hope people get that chance. So please do enjoy and have a happy 4th.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 12, miscellaneous. 12A, Board Advisory Committee updates. As we move into advisory committee and board member updates, I invite trustees to briefly share their key highlights from any committee meetings you've attended over the past couple of weeks. These updates should be shared in a summary form to help keep the full board and public informed about the work, our advisory committees, and district initiatives. When sharing your update, please include the date of some of the committee meetings, the name of the committee meetings, main topics or issues discussed, important takeaways or action items, any steps or upcoming meeting dates if applicable. Let's keep the updates concise and focus on information that for the broader group of the board. I just want to reinstate, I don't want to hear, I've gone to this meeting, that meeting. I only want to hear updates of information. You've been to meetings that you think is pertinent for the rest of the board to have that information that you collected. So at this time, I'll start with Trustee Cortez.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Ahmad.
Nothing to report at this time, thanks.
Leek.
Okay, we had the last athletic committee meeting of the year, and the 3 high school athletic directors gave an account of their school team successes, and apparently it was a very good year for all 3 schools. Students were interviewed for the position of student board members, and they will start when the school year is back in session, and the students are very important to the board. The student perspective is valuable. Madera County Superintendent of Schools presented Washington with an award. This was CC Massetti's last meeting as the County Superintendent of Schools, and it was very sad, and she will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Salazar.
Just ditto what she said on the student boards, the new student board interviewing, they're a very good selection, and look forward to seeing their presentation to us. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Mendoza.
Triple ditto on the school student board. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Where am I at here? Okay. Item 12B, suggested future agenda items. Trustees, do you have any items you would like the board leadership to consider for a future board meeting? Seeing no one raise their hands. Item number 13, advanced planning. Our next regular board meeting will be scheduled for July 22nd, 2025. Item number 14 is adjournment at 18. We'll adjourn this meeting.